Let's move on over to, I guess, one of, if not the biggest story of the last 24 hours, and that was the episode of AEW Dark featuring Max Castor's rap. And did you see the rap, Way?
I
Before it was
did.
pulled? Okay.
Yes.
So
It's
for those,
available. It's out there.
it's probably not too hard to find. I actually did see it on the original file before they had edited it off of there. But, straight from Andrew's update today, it pretty much, like, the major things that upset a lot of people were the lines about Simone Biles and her mental health issues, about the Duke Lacrosse rape case. There was a line there about Julia Hart. There was one about fake
Every line
PCR
was
tests.
bad. Every line was
it's just
questionable.
degrees. It's degrees of what you want to choose to be upset over. You could certainly make a case for all of them. I said on Monday, I was not happy that Simone Biles got inserted into Charlotte Flair's promo. So you can imagine what my thought was here. I thought this was much worse. Simone Biles, it's like, this is a sexual abuse survivor. Okay? So when someone like that is going through mental health struggles, probably not fair game to be thrown out here for bad promo material. So I was amazed that this got through the channels it did for something that would have been done last Wednesday, and this was Tuesday. Tony Khan did address this on Busted Open Radio, and this was transcribed by Andrew today. Speaking of Dark last night, Max Castor's rap was terrible. I was not out there in the moment when he did it. It was not during Dynamite. I was out back when Max had said the rap. I had not heard it until last night, truthfully. In the editing process, it should have been caught. We deleted the episode and reposted it with that edited out. But it shouldn't have aired, and I put such tight controls on Dynamite, and this would have never happened there, because Max's raps, I always have gone over with him, and frankly, every segment on Dynamite. I don't script or write wrestlers' promos, but the bullet points I give. So in this case, it shouldn't have happened, and what will happen going forward is I will be taking over the editing of Dark and Elevation myself. I was already editing Dynamite and Rampage, and I do a lot, and now I also will be editing Dark and Elevation. So, it's unfortunate that it came to that. This is a response, and to be clear, I haven't heard the interview, but just reading that, this sounds like someone that was extremely upset, and it should not be this extent that Tony Khan has to do everything. This should, dude, a rape joke getting through on a promo, if you want to give the greatest benefit of the doubt that Max Castor somehow felt that these edgy raps that I have to do have to toe that line, there are still more channels that this never should have aired on Tuesday night. How anyone hears that the next day and says, you know what, that's just too far. I just can't believe it got to the point that it got through whatever check-off process it was, and this was deemed fine.
Yeah. I think it's one of the issues when we really applaud AEW as an environment where talents are able to have a lot of creative freedom to be able to do a whole lot of what they want. And often, sometimes that's really to the detriment. And when you're producing as much content as you are, when your AEW Dark and Elevation sessions are as long as they are, things are going to slip through the cracks. And that's not an excuse, because a lot of people got to watch this. The people involved probably should have known better. The tag team that actually did this entrance probably should have known better. Nonetheless, I felt it was a good response from Tony Khan. I thought it was really important for the leader to come out and immediately discredit this and to say that this does not represent what our company should represent, and that we screwed up and we made a mistake. This is unfortunate. It's easy to perhaps say, like, this is the character. Okay, this is supposed to be like, the thugonomic Cena. It's supposed to be edgy. I feel like this is definitely on a far different level, and it's every single line, not even just that one line. And really, Max Castor, I feel like should have known better for his age. And I'm sure this will be a big lesson to anybody coming out with their own material. And you know what? It's reasons like this that will stifle ultimately maybe some of that freedom that creative freedom that people have. Tony Khan's going to want to look through every single promo, every single word that is said on all of these shows from this point on.
That's the last guy that needs 2.5 hours more of eyes on a program to be going out. Like this shouldn't be a point where this guy has to add more to his plate. Like that should be an ability to delegate.
Well, I think it's as much of an issue of PR as anything else too, right? I mean, a lot of people are busy in that locker room, but I think Tony Khan probably wants its audience to know that I am going to personally see that this does not happen again. Whether or not in execution that becomes the case 6 months from now, we shall see. But I mean, this is Tony basically saying this will not happen again, and I will personally see to that.
I know whenever, and these are going to come up again. Like it's just inevitable that you're going to run into these issues. And listen, I'm not standing here and stating like, someone's head has to roll for this, but there does need to be a certain condemnation when something like this happens and not just a shrug of the shoulders. And there is going to be a contingent of people that just groan when people get upset at this stuff. But I honestly believe that, you look back at the late 90s and what flew in pro wrestling and what flew, frankly, just in everyday society, that I don't look back as it's like the good old days. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that we can hold people to much higher standards where just getting in a line for the sake of entertainment somehow throws real world issues aside, that's not something like your audience. I'm glad the audience cares about this stuff more, that people's well-beings are actually taken into account rather than just entertainment and all gloves are off. I mean, it's like this is clearly going off on a tangent, but when you look at the treatment of certain stories in the past, like I'm glad we are living in a time where the treatment of someone like a Monica Lewinsky would never happen today as it did in 1998. We have progressed further, that we would never treat someone like that, and it wouldn't be cannon fodder for late night comedians to essentially slut shame on a nightly basis. I think that's an improvement on society, that we have these checks and balances, that, rape jokes, that doesn't fly on the wrestling program I want to watch.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's still, comedy that might go into those territories whenever something hits the pop culture landscape, but it's continues to be a learning period, I would say, for our society in general, about where that line is between edginess and something that just is far too much for people to be entertained by. And this, though, I feel like was pretty obvious from the get-go, from the time Max Castor put pen to paper and put this material out there. I mean, I feel like he should have known by this point. It's in 2021. Other things, of course, could be a bit more of a gray area. It's a debate that people continue to have, but I agree. More empathy, I think, for other people is not a bad thing.